Come on. Hello and welcome. I'm your host, Wim Lu. You are listening to the Raptors Reaction Podcast, which is a presentation of ToonieBet online sportsbook and casino. Raptors win tonight, 122 to 115, and they could not have picked a better time for a win, because they've been coming off some miserable losses. Vibes for the franchise, for the season at least, for a low, and they came back with an incredibly tough performance. Obviously, it's not, changing the world with just one win. But I really like this win. Everyone who watched this game really enjoyed it. And I think they actually had a lot of really positive things that they should build off of. Most notably, how they closed this game was very different than how the Raptors have closed out previous games. Raptors pulled out the reverse Uno card. Actually, Brandon Ingram, story of the game tonight. Awesome player, right? 36 points. Bounces back in a big way. He's been struggling of late by his own admission. He's been playing terribly. Comes out with an all-star plus performance. I mean, that was sensational for Brandon Ingram. 36 points tonight. One thing to know about Brandon Ingram, that man loves Uno. And the Raptors pulled that reverse Uno card on their opponents. Because what's the most frustrating thing about the Raptors? What's the most frustrating thing about the Raptors this season? It's the fact that they crumble in crunch time. It's the fact that their offense gets really static, and even though their defense is good, they come up short with some mistakes in crunch time. Well, this was the exact opposite of how the Raptors played in crunch time tonight. A lot of really good stuff. Raptors closed this game out on a 27-10 run, thoroughly executing a comeback, possession after possession, building it play after play, brick by brick, doing the little things right, playing smartly, helping each other. Good coaching as well. I want to give Darko a lot of credit because I like two specific decisions that he made that really helped the comeback, which is what I want the coach to do, is to help the team in any way possible. And that's how the Raptors got this thing done. Yes, it took probably a bigger effort than you may expect against the Suns. But, bro, why would you say that? The Suns are they have a better record than the Raptors right now. The Suns are basically the West version of the Raptors. They're punching way above their weight. They had a lot of guys playing well. Devin Booker was playing great. Jalen Green was on an absolute heater. I mean, he was hitting some Kobe shots out there. Even guys like Grayson Allen were drawing free throws. I mean, it just, they were playing really well. I mean, this is the Suns. They've been well coached all year. For a lot of people that are not watching the Suns, but this shouldn't be a surprise. They are a really good, well-coached team that are punching way above their weight. So I want to give them a lot of credit. But I think on the Raptors side, even though the Raptors were down and had lots of chances to turn back and quit, they did not quit. And by the end of the game, they built stronger and stronger. And that feeling that those guys must have in the locker room right now, that feeling that's in your heart right now watching this game, the excitement in my voice, all that is because of the fact that the Raptors executed really, really well down the stretch. And they never quit. And I really think that this was a really nice character-building win. Even though it's just beating the Suns. But this was a really nice win. Let's start with the final play, which was Scottie Barnes coming over. Jalen Green had turned the corner. Jalen Green's one of the most athletic players in the league. He's going in for a dunk. And I don't even know how he blocked it, but Scottie kind of attacked him with two hands. I mean, I don't even know, to be honest, how they blocked that shot, but kind of attacked him with two hands, blocked the shot at the rim. Raptors get the rebound. Raptors run out. At that point, it was a 4-point game. So if Green goes in for the dunk, that's a 2-point game, and all of a sudden it's tight. Instead, Scottie with an insane block. Seriously, defensive player of the year worthy block. Blocks the shot from behind. Raptors get the rebound. Raptors find Scottie in transition, and Scottie makes an effortless pass to RJ Barrett, who was always sprinting to the front of the rim. It is such an underrated thing about RJ, but he is always cutting to the basket. And RJ gets to the basket, finishes strong, two hands over Devin Booker, who tried to do the same block as Scottie. It's not the same thing, okay? And that turns into a 6-point game. Scottie's yelling into the crowd. RJ's excited. The whole crowd's excited. Basically, it's game over at that point. They play a couple more possessions on the end of that, but that was game over. And that was sensational. But I think it's not just that, but the Raptors were great on both ends of the floor and how they executed in crunch time. RJ Barrett moving his feet and taking a charge at one point. Emmanuel quickly moving his feet and forcing Devin Booker into an air ball. The Raptors rotating and, running the Suns off the three-point line, which is the major threat that they pose. They swing the ball, they move it. But the reason they move you around so much is because they have 5-out spacing at all times. But the Raptors really, move their feet well and communicated well and rebounded well on the defensive end. Those things weren't happening earlier in their game to the highest degree, and so the Raptors were down. But in crunch time, the Raptors turned it to another level. I love that. Speaking of the coaching, I give Darko a lot of hard times, right? Darko catches a lot of flack. How about this? Darko, 2 incredible decisions down the stretch. Number 1, use the challenge productively. The coach's challenge is a very important tool. It is a momentum tool. It is a tool that can win you huge moments and huge plays. I watch a lot of basketball. Seriously, not just Raptors. I watch a lot of hoop, right? Coaches that I think do a great job with the challenge. Mark Daigneault for OKC routinely wins them possessions in the fourth quarter. Kenny Atkinson, in the 2 years he's been with Cleveland, has been incredible with the challenges. When you are a competitive team and you are the coach of that team, these challenges and every other possession cannot be thrown away. So it doesn't matter to you, right? You should ignore it when Mamu comes over and says, you should challenge that, coach. Or Jacoby comes over and says, you should challenge that, coach. Tell him to sit down. Your little petty complaints about all this stuff, we're here for a winning purpose. And you know what? Darko resisted that tonight. He resisted that. And the time he used the challenge, I don't know why they called it unsuccessful, but Devin Booker was literally at the foul line with the ball in his hands. The referee jumped in, blew the whistle, took the ball out of his hands and said, actually, that they're challenging. And even though they reviewed the play and it was a foul, they reviewed the foul, and instead of a shooting foul, it became an on-the-floor foul. And that is huge because Devin Booker, with the shot clock turned off, with the 6-point game, shooting 2 with 49 seconds is an entirely different sequence than 49 seconds left and the Suns got to inbound the ball and execute their play, because once they executed their play, Scottie blocked the shit out of Jalen Green. Okay? Huge challenge by Darko, who did not waste that challenge early in the game. And then the other one, in terms of what Darko did really well in this game, was he made the call to bench one of his starters. Jakob Poeltl. We've been waiting on Jakob all season. He did not play well tonight. Was in some foul trouble. Realistically, a bad matchup. Another team with a lot of very mobile three-point shooters, forcing him to guard on the perimeter and everything like that. Okay. All right. We just extended this man to $100 million. You know what, Bobby? Who cares? Doc, you're on the bench. Doesn't even play in the fourth quarter. Jacoby Walter on 5 fouls. You get in the game. We got to switch. We got to be fast on the perimeter. We got to be able to knock down corner threes. We got to have spacing in the middle of the floor so that BI and RJ and Scottie can drive. So that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to believe in this second-year player. And it wasn't exactly like Jacoby changed and killed the game, but it was exactly the right decision by Darko. And so those 2 decisions, the challenge, keeping it for the good moment, and second, to go with Jacoby over Jakob, was massive towards down the stretch. And then, of course, I don't know why it's taking me so long to say this, Brandon Ingram, number 3 on the Raptors, number 3 in your hearts, okay? I'm not going to lie to you. After OG left, you're like, man, I know we're not going to retire his jersey, but it's not going to feel the same when someone else wears that number. Brandon Ingram, number 3. That's yours, okay? Did you see the way Brandon Ingram played tonight? You know what? Actually, it was funny because Brandon Ingram got off to a slow start. And I was like, oh, man, he being lackadaisical out there. At one point in the second quarter, Rasheer Fleming blocked him twice at the basket. Because Brandon Ingram sometimes goes really slow. He has like a Kyle Anderson mode where he's just like, layup. You know what I mean? And you know what? Obviously, at that size, at that length, at his skill, that works for him most of the time. But he was getting that shit blocked by Rasheer Fleming. And I felt like those 2 blocks maybe woke him up a little bit or whatever, because the rest of the game, Brandon Ingram was killing out there tonight. do you understand the level of offensive ability you need to do for what Brandon Ingram did here tonight? Because just if you look at some of the highlights of this game, it's like shuffle, like he like put his left leg behind his right leg for like a pas de bourrée in dance in ballet, and then did a fade away from 30 feet and it went in to beat the buzzer. Okay, it was a bad possession, but he beat it. At a guy who's 6'8", 6'9", did the pound dribble over between two defenders, and then did the high windmill pickup that Dwayne Wade first popularized, and now Donovan Mitchell's turned into a signature move. He did that at 6'9". You know how crazy that looks when he makes a move like that? And then, okay, so that's the bag work, right? The one-on-one, drawing fouls, getting to the basket, all that's there. That's bag work. But you know what? What's bag work without having the basketball IQ to go along with it? Because a lot of players in the league got bags, but very few players have a bag and they have basketball IQ. So what do I mean by basketball IQ? Okay? Down the stretch, there were several sequences where Brandon Ingram had the ball in his hands at the top of the floor and he was orchestrating the play, right? He had the ball in one hand. He was sometimes dribbling, sometimes just carrying it, and he was just telling everyone where to go in total command. So Brandon's at the top of the floor. This first possession was huge, right? He tells RJ, nah, don't give me the ball screen. Go to the corner. Go to the corner. Then he's like, okay, now I'm at the top of the floor. RJ's in the corner. IQ, come bring your man with the screen. And when the Suns pulled both guys off of, IQ to come trap Brandon, Brandon instantly passes it to IQ, who instinctively knew to slip out of the screen. And so when IQ catches it in the middle of the floor, that's a 4-on-3. Now, because IQ's driving to the right side, the corner help defender pulls over, and IQ makes the pass into the corner to RJ Barrett. RJ Barrett, catch, shoot, 3, makes it. Raptors take the lead on that play. And why is this such a big play? Because Brandon Ingram saw that play happen, and he orchestrated that from scratch. Everyone was in the wrong play in the wrong spot at that moment. Brandon's like, I want RJ in that corner. I want IQ to come give me the screen because I know the Suns are going to trap me. I know IQ's going to be smart to slip out of that trap. IQ's going to be able to build the floor. He's going to make the right pass. They're probably going to hop off of one of the corners. RJ's in that corner, knock down the 3. Very smart. Very, very smart play. And that's what we're talking about is when you have bag work and you have IQ, not just IQ, I mean like actual intelligence. That's how a play like that happens. Or another play where, again, Brandon's orchestrating, right? This time, RJ's already in the corner. This time, he tells IQ, hey, I don't actually want the screen this time because I have a better matchup this time. Sometimes you want to get the screen so that you can play the mismatch game, right? The guy comes screen, you get a mismatch. Basically, Kyle Lowry used to do this all the time with DeMar DeRozan, their pet play. Kyle would bring his small defender, set a moving screen, basically, force DeMar DeRozan's guy to switch, slip out, and now DeMar's got a small defender on him. But you don't need to do that if you already like your matchup. So Brandon already liked his matchup. So this time, instead of IQ coming over, he's like, no. I want you to space out this time, right? This was like 2 plays after that 3 for RJ. Brandon Ingram waves IQ off. IQ now is in the middle. He's kind of like in the dunker spot. It's basically a 1-4 flat at that point, which means that is Brandon at the top of the floor and the 4 of the Raptors are all stationed. 2 in the corner, 2 along the baseline at the edge of the paint. Basically giving him maximum separation at the top of the floor to operate. And what does Brandon Ingram do? Okay, I see open court in front of me. I feel like I can cook my guy. I'm going to get to my spot. Turnaround jumper, cash. Basketball IQ is very, very important. And you know what? It's not the same as how the Raptors have been executing offense a lot down the stretch. Yes, there were other sequences as well. Because the Raptors were able to get bucket after bucket, the Suns had to play in half court. Because the Raptors were great on defense in the half court, they were able to force the Suns into misses, and the Raptors were able to get out in the fast break. Okay, so there's transition buckets, right? But in the interim between that, you need to generate other types of looks. And you might say, well, Will, what's different, right? They're always closing through Brandon Ingram. Not like this. Because the most negative play that the Raptors have run all season, even though they run it a lot, is IQ's going to have the ball. We're going to set a cross screen in the middle of the floor, so Brandon might get a mismatch. But to be honest, it's a lot easier to maintain your mismatch in the middle of the floor. versus an on-ball screen. But whatever, we're going to get Brandon a little screen, and then the defense is going to push, grab, hold, prevent him from the spot, maybe front him. And then it takes like, I don't know, man, 24-second shot clock probably takes like 18 seconds to finally get the ball into BI in the post. He can't see what's happening behind him because he got the back to the defense. The defense knows where he is. He doesn't have a live dribble, and, you know, the defense is likely coming to double him, and he has to take a bad shot at the end of the clock. That's way better to run the offense like this as compared to that play, which, and we all know, when I describe to you that play, you're like, oh yeah, I've seen that play. Even if I'm not a huge basketball fan, I know what Will's talking about. I can see that because I've seen the Raptors brick that shot. I've seen Brandon Ingram brick that shot a lot of times. So I think that the way they ran their offense was good. Also, they had other players involved. Scottie, you know, wasn't just in the corner. There was a couple plays where, you know, and again, Scottie was obviously not like the second option, or definitely not 1A, 1B with Brandon. It was definitely Brandon was Batman tonight. But there were plays where Scottie's like, okay, the possession's stuck. Let me swing the ball to the middle of the floor to Scottie. And Scottie makes a play, whether he's going to, you know, reverse the ball to the other side where there's an advantage, or Scottie's going to get the ball at the top of the floor and he's going to dribble it hard. And, you know, he had a couple of poster dunks, right? Driving to the basket, dunking all over the defense. And by the way, it has to be said, you know, Scottie was sick today. You know, start of the second half, Scottie wasn't even out there with the starters. You're like, whoa, what happened? You know, is he okay? But, you know, luckily he was able to come in like a minute later. So, you know, he was able to close out the game and ended up playing a lot of minutes. But he was sick. You know, at times he did look lethargic. Well, towards the end of the game, most hype guy in the building was Scottie Barnes with the block, with the pass, and then with the celebration, right? But, you know, I thought Scottie got a chance to touch the ball as well. I also think that, like, man, I hate to say this because it makes an already difficult season even more awkward for Jakob. But the offense looks a lot better when he's not in the middle of the floor, man. I mean, look, there are instances where Jakob's screening, basically his run blocking, you know, to use an NFL analogy, where he's able to move guys around and set a solid ball screen and, you know, like, yeah, or get on the offensive glass. Like, I'm not saying he does nothing or give an option on the roll. He does a lot. But I do like it when the floor is spaced, man. You know what I mean? Like, okay, so Scottie's in the middle of the floor. He's the big. There's guys in the corners. They're good shooters from the corners, like RJ and Jacoby, who both made big threes in part of the comeback in the fourth quarter. And I'm like, it's a lot easier to get into the paint, and there's a lot less double teaming when Jakob's not in there. And I think it's a situational thing, right? It's a situational thing because there are obviously matchups where he is going to be more necessary. And there's a more pesky on-ball defender, and they're going to need Jakob's whatever. You know what I mean? But I think he goes from being a, you know, all-situation player, which, like, the Raptors have a few. Like, Scottie's an all-situation player. Brandon's an all-situation player. IQ's an all-situational player. He goes from that level to, like, more of a situational player. And you know what? I'm fine with that. I think the biggest thing is Darko having the sense for the game and also the courage to bench one of his guys. You know what? This is the thing with when you're back against the wall. You don't have to justify it. You don't have to coddle nobody's feelings. And it's Jakob. Like, who cares? You think Jakob's going to kick up a storm? Jakob's like, I'm chilling, man. So that was a good decision. And again, like, the Raptors, the way they play defense, you don't make any comeback without the defensive end. I thought, again, like, seeing RJ take the offensive fouls, seeing IQ force air ball off of Devin Booker one-on-one, seeing Jacoby out there moving his feet with 5 fouls, seeing Scottie Barnes on a sick night where he's playing 30-plus minutes, you know, save his most energetic play to the end. Like, that was good. And you know what? Yes, this team has been, you know, under fire. Yes, I've been the one criticizing them. But there's a lot of the season left. And you know what? The privilege for the Raptors is that they won enough games along the way. They stacked a lot of them early. But they have the chance to keep going. Yes, they fell into the play-in. So what? There's another month left in the season. We'll see what happens, right? And if the Raptors are able to keep building and take the lessons and play with the toughness that they played with tonight, make the adjustments. Obviously, guys played really well. That's going to happen. We have really good players who are capable of doing that. If they're able to string together this momentum, I still believe in this group. And the reason I get mad at them is because I'm thinking you're squandering all the work that you've done this year. So, you know what? It was a low moment. And this was just one win. And we'll see a much tougher test with Detroit coming in on Sunday. But I like the way the Raptors played tonight. And I feel really proud of how they played tonight. Other thing, too, I want to touch on is the Jamal Shead situation, which became a huge talking point in this game. But before I get there, I want to let you know. All right? I want to let you know something. So this segment is a presentation of Lottomax. So I want to call all Raptor fans that Lottomax and the Raptors have officially launched their Max Contract Fan Contest, where one winner will be given the chance to call the shots and personalize their own prize pack worth $50,000. So what does that mean? What prizes can you choose from? Well, how about 2026, 2027 season tickets or courtside tickets to 5 games next season? I mean, courtside. I mean, I've never even been courtside even once. Or, this is a third option, a chance to attend all home playoff games this year. Visit the Raptors app to learn more and enter today. And don't forget to opt into our emails to hear about future chances to win. No purchase is necessary. 18 plus, Ontario only. The contest ends March 29th, 2026. Grand prize winner to select one prize from each of Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3. Visit the Toronto Raptors app for full contest rules, prize details, and how to enter. Okay, so this is what I wanted to talk about, was the Raptors' response to what happened with Jamal Shead. This has become a huge talking point before the game. First, let's hear from Darko Rajakovic, who, if you remember, basically said, I don't really think much about that play. I didn't really get a chance to see it. Guys were competing. You know, that's what he said post-game in New Orleans after the play. This is what he said pre-game today. Very different tune. You'll hear it.
Watching the film, I thought that we did not handle the situation the way we want and that we were supposed to. Our players, they had conversations with each other. They know that that was not the true picture and image of our team, and they all agreed, and they know that it's never going to happen again.
Okay, so that's what Darko said right there, okay? Very different tune. Very explicit. And honestly, this is what I wanted him to say. This is what I think every fan wanted him to say. Now, granted, we'll see if the actual situation changes. By the way, the Raptors do play the Pelicans one more time as it happens. In a couple of weeks, Raptors will be hosting the Pelicans. So we'll get a chance to sort of see that direct interaction and that direct response. Again, I'm not expecting like the Raptors to go over the top and like, you know, throw DeJounte Murray through a chair or something. But like, you know, I mean that like in those situations, how they were going to respond. You know, and I think a lot of this is just Darko stating what it should be the obvious. But sometimes the obvious is just the correct thing. You have to stand up for your teammate there. And when the whole group took a look at it together, they all agreed at it. So, you know what? Yes, they missed the chance to do it in that game, but hopefully they changed that behavior and they address it and call it out. The other part I wanted to hear from was from Jamal Shead. And this is a credit to Michael Grange, who had the conversation with Jamal and then transcribed it. So I'm grabbing off of Grange's social here. Appreciate Grange. But Jamal Shead said this, you know, on the question of what was your first reaction to the play, he said, quote, I think in the moment I was just like, oh snap, he's over me. Well, that's about it. We were focused on the outcome of the game. We just weren't happy with it. We got blown. It got blown out of proportion. We weren't really focused on that. And then Grange asked, "Did you talk about it later?" Jamal's answer was, "Quote: We talked about it as a team for sure. We know how we should have all handled it differently. We moved on from it, and we're on to the next game." Then Grange went on to ask, "Why was he mad?" He says, who knows? I guess he was hype about the plays. Who knows? And then Grange asked the exact question, which is, how should it have been handled? And Jamal's answer was this, quote, I don't think we responded in any type of way that time. I think it's about being in the moment. People just respond in the moment. Sometimes you're mad, sometimes you're not. I wasn't really mad in the situation. I don't think I responded in any type of way. You're supposed to move on. But here's the thing. If it comes up again, I think we'll respond a little differently. So I'm proud of Jamal for how he handled that. To be honest, I don't think he was going to talk tough. I don't think he was going to come in with big words or some sort of grand proclamation. That's not in Jamal's character. That's not who he is. But I think for Jamal, I like that he just came back the next game and played his exact game. Pesky, tenacious on defense. Actually was a little bit better on offense tonight. Made a couple more shots. Certainly was really good at the passes. 8 assists for the second unit. I think more than anything else, Jamal, besides this happening to him, and obviously his teammates not helping him in the moment and recognize the situation, I think the biggest thing for Jamal is that he probably was focused on himself because he has been struggling a lot. And he's a very proud player. And the Raptors need him to play well, right? It is not like he's not an accessory anymore. He is a necessity. So to see Jamal play well tonight and respond in a mature way is exactly what I want to see from Jamal as well. So we'll see. Again, a couple situations have really flared up. This one, I was certainly more mad at. I remember earlier in the season, a lot of people got mad at the Brandon Ingram water bottle slam. That became a big topic. I wasn't as mad about. I wasn't mad about that one at all. I mean, it was a frustration play. Anyone who's played sports has sort of been in those situations. The good thing with that one is a reminder, people do move on from it. You know what I mean? This is the internet. Something crazy is going to happen in the next 15 minutes. So you're going to be pushed down the timeline. And I think for the Raptors, though, it happened. They addressed it. Hopefully they take the lesson from it and they take the overall lesson that they got to be more physical and stand up for themselves. But more than anything else, I think they handled the mature way. And the biggest thing is, look, man, we're not here to see the Raptors fight. Okay? We're not. To be honest, I don't like seeing people fight the Raptors either. And I don't want to see the Raptors fight. I want to see the Raptors win. And that's what they did tonight. So we're going to take a quick break. We're going to hear from one of our sponsors. So when we come back, we want to get to your questions in the call.
This segment is brought to you by Table Fare and Social. Get your pregame bites and after-work drinks at Table.
It's a great location, right across the street from the arena and just steps away from Union Station and the Metrolinx bus terminal.
Will, I love my wedge salad, but there's plenty of options at Table. What should we have next?
Oh, we could have salad for days, my friend.
Oh, you're talking about salad days? I love salad days, man. They got a different salad for every day of the week. You can never get tired of the options there.
Oh yeah, I heard about this place. This was your go-to lunch spot forever. You always said the lettuce was so crispy.
Man, it's so crispy and fresh, and now this can be your go-to meal before Raptors games.
I like that. Grab a pregame salad at Table Fare and Social right across from the arena.
Okay, everybody. We are going to take your questions in the call. Raptors win tonight, 122-115. Karem has been collecting your questions. And, oh my goodness, we got 400 back-to-back episodes. This is crazy. Robert Marash. What up, Big Rob? What's going on, man? Early morning for this old guy. Stayed up to watch the win and send some love to the number one Raptors show. Hey, Rob. I'm telling this. I mean, C-Mac. I know C-Mac was generous and matched it, but Rob had previously sent in several 400s. I appreciate you, Rob. Rob has been one of the biggest supporters of the show. Great pleasure to hang out and meet Rob many times, and he is just a diehard Raptor fan. Rob, I gotta say, I owe you one of these Chris Boucher jerseys, man. I know you were a huge Chris Boucher fan, and me and Alex had this intention to go out there and get you something from Chris, and I think maybe this summer we'll sort of follow up and figure that thing out. But yeah, I mean, a guy's a real Raptor fan when he appreciates Chris Boucher to that degree. So shouts to Rob, and I appreciate you for the very generous donations. Yeah, well, we have it in the chat here. 400 React Pods, $400 in 2 React Pods in a row. I mean, look, I'm not expecting people to support in that kind of way, but I always appreciate it if people have that type of generosity or connection that they want to sort of put a number to. Then I appreciate it. But yes, you can tell money makes me uncomfortable, but that's a separate thing. That's what happens when you grow up not poor, but you know what I mean. But anyway, Donkey asks, Suns looked awesome tonight, but the Raptors were better. Maybe it's just because of how much they needed it, but this felt like one of the best wins of the year. I totally agree, actually. I think it's the relief. I think it's the moment. You have to understand the despair that would come with another loss after the previous losses. And, there were small moments of Raptors made the comeback, but then the Suns got this 3 off a broken play, and then they retook the lead, and you're like, are the Raptors going to be able to bounce back through that and just keep going? And I think the result obviously is big, right? I mean, I know it's hard to live by the result, but it's sports. What do you want? People are going to live by the results. you can't just be like, oh, we played well, but we lost. Ask Team Canada about that. You know what I mean? Oh, yeah, we shot 45 times and we lost to the United States. It's like, okay, well, shit, the result matters, right? But I think for how they played, I think it was actually really refreshing. I'm telling you, like, watching every game closely, and I take a lot of notes on how they execute in the crunch time, you don't see the Raptors being like this was an actual noted improvement in how they executed offensively in crunch time. Defensively, they've been pretty good. Like, that's actually the main reason why the Raptors are actually not overall a bad team in crunch time this season. They've been much worse in the last month, but in the start of the year, they're actually quite a good team in crunch time, and a lot of that was because their defense was pretty good. Offensively, they completely plundered, but I think I think they ran a lot of things differently tonight in crunch time, and I think that really helped. It also helps when Brandon Ingram plays like a superstar. I mean, he was sensational tonight. 36 points in 38 and a half minutes. Great game. Yeah, and to that point, right, the challenge led to the block. Actual crunch time execution. Yes, actual crunch time execution. Exactly. That was excellent to see. So, yeah. RJ with another nice game. Looks like he has his legs back. RJ has been playing up to standard, I think, for the last couple of games. I think that, more than anything else, like, you want the offensive production from RJ. And so when RJ gives you 22, 6, and 5 on 50% shooting from the field, I'm going to be very happy with that, right? Actually, it was 9 of 16, so slightly above 50%. To be honest, it should have been 10 of 16, and RJ will agree with this too, because he missed a point-blank layup during the comeback, which felt really like a big play at the time, but I like how Raptors just mentally powered through that and just made it about the next play. But yeah, I mean, RJ, I think tonight's matchup was tough because of how much the Suns have so many shooters. I mean, the Suns is a weird team. I mean, like, I'm so impressed with their coach and the players too. Like, I'm not, it's not all about just only about the coach, but like it takes some real imagination to make the Suns like a not only a good team, but like an actually functioning team. Because like if you look at the Suns roster, they have like 10 shooting guards and then like 2 skinny bigs. That's kind of like how they played tonight, right? Like Jalen Green, Royce O'Neal, Devin Booker, Colin Gillespie, they're kind of all basically 2 guards. Grayson Allen, another 2 guard coming off the bench, Jordan Goodwin, Haywood Highsmith. I guess those guys are more forwards, but again, like just kind of like wings. Like they just have a bunch of 2 guards, and then they had Rasheer Fleming, who played great tonight. Shouts to Rasheer Fleming. I liked him in the draft too, but the second rounder is Rasheer Fleming, and then also Oso Godaro in the starting lineup. Like that really shouldn't work, but it does work, and I think it's a real credit to how their coach sort of set them up. The way they're able to leverage spacing, the ball movement. They're also like very physical and very tough and very handsy on defense. Like, they basically like pulling the most out of their roster. And of course, Jalen Green was going nuts and Devin Booker was playing great. So again, like it was a defensive challenge for RJ, but I think at certain times he stepped up to it. And I think if you had to rate it on the whole, he came closer to like a B or a B minus than, what he's played in other games. And I think that was good. And in important moments, RJ was not picked on tonight. So, want to give him his credit. Chat, like and subscribe. Yeah, I forget that I'm a YouTuber. Yes, guys, please like and subscribe to stream. It helps. It doesn't necessarily help me in the sense of like, it doesn't like I'm not getting more of anything off of this. I just think that like it lets YouTube know that like, hey, this video was appreciated. There was a decent live audience. They enjoyed it. The higher ratio of people who watch a video and they like it, it tells the algorithm, which rules our lives, that like, okay, this is probably an worthwhile video that I'll push to other Raptor fans. And I think that's how we grow the show. You know what I mean? So it doesn't cost you anything. You can just literally hit a like on the stream. Speaking of not cost you anything though, Barry sends in $8 from Australia. Finally, some decent fight from this team. Bring this to Detroit now. Time to wash the cars and get on the beers. Is that an Aussie thing? Like, or are you saying that seriously? Okay. Yeah. This was great. I think Detroit is a very, very tough test. Like Detroit is exactly the type of team that should basically throw banana peels at the Raptors. And by the way, I mean, you thought the Pistons were impressive last game when they came to Toronto right before All-Star break and they beat them by 27 with Paul Reed. Well, they're going to get Isaiah Stewart back. You know what I mean? So I mean, as much as I said Jakob wasn't useful in this matchup, he's going to be very useful and very necessary in the next matchup. And Trey Jackson-Davis, you better get ready out there. And it's Colin Murray-Boyles, who was questionable, got through warm-ups, but ultimately didn't play tonight. If he gets a chance to play, Scottie Barnes, get over your illness, because, like, we're going to need, like, big boy basketball next game. Tonight, we need a little boy basketball. So, like, RJ, IQ, Jacoby, Jamal, they all played some big moments here. Next game is big boy, smash mouth basketball. So how are we going to handle that? You know, I just think that, like, fully healthy, I just want to see it. I mean, I expect the Pistons to win, but I want to see it. You know, and if you can win that, all of a sudden you really have changed the narrative. The thing about the narrative about your season is it's 2 games. It's 3 games. It's some key wins here or there, right? It never is as far as it looks when you're struggling, and it's never as rosy as it is when you're winning. Actually, Darko had a quote about this, where he was asked about sort of the season essentially, you know, falling a little bit falling,
here. It's just snow, guys. It's what you see out there is just snow. It's not, the sky is not falling. So I'm really enjoying this. For me, this is the best part of the coaching, to be there for my team, to be there for my players, to be there for my organization, to try to help any way I can. So I'm really, really excited when those times, those hard times come.
There you go. What you guys think? Was that a bar? Was that a Shea bar? You know, the sky's not falling, it's snowing. Let us know. Anyway, the next comment here. These type of games are the little breaks we need to build momentum. Yeah, I mean, look, you know, to be fair, the Raptors have played some pretty tough opponents recently, right? Knicks, they're not good to match up against the Knicks. Minnesota, New Orleans has been playing really well of late. They're not tanking. They're playing their veterans. Like, yes, the Pelicans have a terrible, you know, record, but a lot of that was injuries, and then a lot of that was them playing their rookies early on. They didn't really play a lot of their rookies. And in fact, when you saw Fears, when you saw Queen out there, they were struggling, right? But the reason they won that game was Trey Murphy was great, and DeJounte Murray was great, and, you know, Zion was pretty good, and Misi, who is a young guy, but he played really well in that game as well. You know, they have been playing tougher teams. Houston, you know, is a tough team, you know. So, yeah, like, it has been difficult, not just from a perspective of watching the standings every day. It's also just like, you know, Raptors are playing this. Meanwhile, have you seen Atlanta's 7-game win streak? You know, it's like Wizards, Pacers. You know, it's like it's straight up 7, like, of the easiest games to win. So, you know, there are going to be ebbs and flows, and you are in the middle of the fight. And all I wanted to see was the Raptors fight. That's why I got so mad at them for the last couple of games, because I didn't see them fight in Houston. I didn't see them fight in the Pelicans game. And, you know, as much as you want to be sick of this and sick of that, you're still going to tune in for the next fight. You know, that's why we're here as Raptor fans. 279 from Riley Price. Clutch offense worked because BI brought the ball up. You know what? I like this. Now, I think, okay, look, I don't think BI could bring the ball up every single time, you know, the whole entire game. It's more exhausting. Guys, like, you know, pressure the ball and stuff like that. I mean, I think there's certain defenders you can't really do that against. You know, when you look at Phoenix, they don't have, like, Lou Dort or Alex Caruso or, you know, Amen Thompson, like, getting into your grill and everything. So I think that's part of it, right? But I do like the way that BI, like, I mean, he's a 10-year vet. He's been the All-Star twice. He's scored 20 points per game for his entire life. Like, he knows how to get a bucket. He's a hooper, right? He's a hooper's hooper of the highest level. So he's like, okay, I want you here. I want you here. I want this. I want that. Go ahead and execute it. And you know what? That's what most of the good teams do. You know, when the Raptors were blowing leads to, like, Minnesota, for example, it was like, oh, man, just watching Ant dictate play after play what he wanted and be aggressive with it and be smart with it. You know, that's like, okay, they're on a different level. And obviously, BI is not like an elite top end, like, you know, cream of the cream type of, like, offensive, you know, initiator in the games, but he's still pretty damn good. And the Raptors brought him in for a reason. So I like the way he executed tonight, and I wouldn't mind if the Raptors repeated it more often. Low-key, Jalen Green will be the perfect add to this team. I mean, if Jalen Green plays like this every game, then yeah, for sure. But, I mean, Jalen Green's got the other side of this, which is when he starts bricking everything and doesn't play much defense. So, I mean, he played really well tonight. I'm not trying to take anything away from him, but I think on the whole, though, like, Jalen Green, I think he's probably best suited to be 6-man type. But, I mean, certainly tonight he was super aggressive. He looked incredible. Will, have you heard that CMB will be out for an extended time? Samson mentioned it. No, I wasn't at the arena tonight. Alex actually was at the arena, so we'll see if Alex heard something similar. But yeah, I think I don't know. I haven't heard anything about that, to be honest. So we'll see. We'll see. This ball game got me at the edge of my seat. Are you guys talking about baseball? What's happening in the World Baseball Classic? If it, like I'd be curious to see how. I know Canada's playing the U.S. right now, right? Let me check in on the Josh Naylor looking like Jamal Murray in the Olympics. That's not a compliment, man. I know what that means. That's not a compliment. Damn, is it that bad? What's the score right now? 5-3. Going into the 9th, so Canada needs to pull it out here. I mean, 5-3 is pretty close, I mean, the United States team is pretty sick. I mean, it's Team USA, but yeah, it's pretty sick, bro. Does that say Cal Raleigh was their 9th hitter? What the fuck? Yo, that's insane. That's insane. So, yeah, we'll see how Canada does. I'm watching the pit tracks. This reminds me of my childhood of watching MLB.com because before I didn't have cable and stuff, and I would just watch the game cast. Actually, here we could do this together. Actually, I don't think this is this is not streaming. I'm just sharing the game cast. How about this here? We can follow it together, guys. Here we go. All right. USA starts with a walk, so there's still 0 outs, top of the 9th. US has a runner on first, and Canada still needs at least 2 runs to force, extras. We'll see. This is an elimination game, by the way, so, if Canada loses, they're out. Next question. Wish we had kept Davion Mitchell over Jamal, not going to lie. I mean, so a couple of things. I mean, number one, I think they didn't want to keep Davion because of cost. I think the Raptors basically didn't have the flexibility in their cap structure to effectively give Davion the type of money that he was out there for. Okay, it looks like Canada turns a double play. So now there's 2 outs. Again, Canada is still down 5-3. But, nice to see a double play, at least virtually here. I hope you guys are watching actual streams and not just this game cast. Yeah, I think that they basically decided, okay, Jamal, I mean, first off, the Raptors did like Davion. They liked him in the draft as well. He was in the same draft as Scottie. So I'm pretty sure they got him in for workouts and stuff. So they're pretty familiar. A lot of times the Raptors, when they acquire a guy, there's usually a history there, right? But, so they get Davion. Obviously, I think he actually played quite well. You know what I mean? I think he's obviously not he's a pretty deficient offensive point guard, but he does just enough, and certainly he's a great defender, but even better than Jamal, to do a lot of things. But I think they looked at it okay, Jamal's we really like Jamal. He's cost effective. We're giving him a lot of chances to play, and we don't really have this extra $12 million to give to Davion. We can't really see playing all 3 of them together. What's the point of having Davion, Jamal, and IQ? And so I think they ultimately decided, you know what? Let's trade him to a team that has interest in extending him, which the Miami Heat were. And I think credit to Davion. I really like covering Davion. He was a very thoughtful guy, very outspoken guy, but cared about his craft immensely. I remember having a conversation once with Davion just about what's his process for when he's defending the top guys. Because there was a stretch there where Shea was in town, and who was it? Brunson was in town. So it's just what's your process when you have to guard these guys? And he walked me through it. He's like, okay, I get this 25-minute possession, highlight pack from my video staff. Then I watch it 5 times in the day on game day to figure out his tendencies and memorize them. I'm like, you know what? If you translate that to your regular job or your regular life, that'd be like if I watched the game 5 times before I went on the rag pod, or or if you were studying as a student and you rewrote your notes 5 times in advance of the test, and he's doing that every single game. I just appreciated his approach. He was clearly to me a very serious player. But yeah, I think the Raptors chose to go with Jamal. I think obviously there's good reasons to like Jamal as well, but yeah, I don't know. I do wish Davion a lot of just a lot of success in his career, though, because I appreciate anybody who's that professional in their job. And I promise you too, not every player is doing that. Okay, definitely not every player is doing that. In terms of preparing for games at the NBA level. Next one here from Donkey. I loved how Darko was sprinting up and down the sideline the entire fourth quarter to keep the pace up. They were operating much earlier in the clock, and he shouldn't have had to do it, but it definitely helped. Look. The thing with Darko is, he's going to get in there and he's going to roll his sleeves up with this team. You know what I mean? And that's why it was weird that even he didn't really have much of a response to the Jamal thing. I think it kind of adds to the theory that, like, I guess maybe nobody realized what was going on for some reason. Because you would expect Darko to always jump in. That's literally the one time I've seen Darko not jump in. And of course, in the next time he was able to ask about it, he jumped into the situation and he offered, the right response to it. Again, it's up to the players to sort of execute that and be tougher physically across the board. But, I still think that, like, acknowledging what needed to be done is an important step to all of that. And yeah, of late, you're seeing some stress from Darko. I'm not going to lie to you. Like, the Pelicans game, if you rewind some of the fourth quarters, like, he was in a deep squat on the sideline like Nick Nurse. I was like, damn, like, are we, time is a flat circle type of thing. But, like, he's going to be in there in the fight, man. And I don't know. I also appreciate Darko. I gave my reasons for appreciating Darko, but this is another good reason to appreciate Darko. We got $5 here from RoboJim TV. Yak doesn't suck, but it would be nice for him to turn him into two centers. One that can dive and roll and another one that spaces. Oh, looks like Canada was able to get out of the inning without giving up the run. So it is now 5-3. What happened here? Okay, my ESPN thing stopped working. So maybe I'll just refresh the page and we'll get back to it. Canada is down 2 runs, and it is the bottom of the 9th. So they got 3 more outs to play with here to either force extras or to win the game. So we'll see how that goes on the other side of that. But yeah, I mean, so Yak, turning Yak into 2 options. Yeah, okay. I mean, I agree. Like, I certainly don't disagree with that. But I think for the Raptors, like, whatever we have with Yak, and I don't think it's like particularly easy to trade Yak right now. So like, it's not really not productive, but it's just like not much point in sort of like talking trades because like we can't really do that right now. But like, I think the big thing with Yak right now is like he needs to be very effective in his matchups. I look at Yak right now as like kind of like since we're on the topic of baseball, like like one of those like lefty specialists, like a loogie. And I think for that, it's just like, can you handle your matchup really well? And Yak's matchups are the physical guys. Yak's matchup is not even his own matchup. It's when there's really physical on-ball defenders on the other side. So they really need his ability to create spacing with his screening and with his with his ability to, move the defense around and shift the play. So I think that like that's what we need from Jakob more than anything else. And hopefully he's able to provide that in more scenarios. But realistically, we're talking about a guy who in an average game should play probably anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes in that range. And so he's going to average out to about 25. Like that's not the whole game. And I think that you do have other sort of matchups, right? I think CMB, given how well he's played, is actually a pretty important thing because that gives the Raptors a chance to sort of switch, to be able to, just play in a very different way, right? On defense that you can never really do with Yak. And then of course on the offensive end, if you really want spacing, that's where you have Mamu. Like, so yeah, I think, it's kind of, it does suck to a small degree that Yak has fallen so close to the pack in terms of he's not necessarily that much better than Mamu on the season. He's not that much better than CMB on the season. And I do think he should be appreciably better than both. But that's what we have right now. And I like that at least we have sort of 3 separate different options for it, so. Sorry, I've been trying to get this pitch tracker to work. Okay, looks like it's back. So hopefully we're able to go back to watching the pitch tracks at least for this game. Canada, it's 0-2 count. Canada still has nobody on base, and They're playing for their lives here. Okay, let me put this back up. Do people actually see this? There we go. All right. Yo, by the way, if you guys have never watched pitch tracks before, like, you're not a real baseball fan, okay? Real baseball fans have really watched just the pitch tracker, okay? And imagine the game. You gotta imagine the game, okay? There you go. Okay. Yak will be very useful against certain teams. Yeah, I think Detroit's gonna be a big one, right? That's the matchup. And if Yak is ineffective against Detroit, which he has been in the past, I think Jalen Duren's physicality gives, lots of players trouble, not just Yak, but I think especially Yak. But if Yak plays big against Detroit, then the Raptors basically can't win against Detroit if Yak doesn't play well. Okay, so. Will do these rejuvenated Raps got a shot against Detroit, and how do they handle the Pistons' physicality? So, okay, that's a good next question. I think, first off, you need Jakob to, at least, not be in foul trouble. He was in foul trouble tonight, but a lot of that is just him getting strong on the perimeter. They're probably going to go at Yak in the pick and roll, but I think, not saying you can drop on Cade Cunningham, because he did hit a bunch of pull-up threes, but you have Scottie on Cade. You have Yak helping them behind him. I think I want Yak to be closer to the basket. Definitely take away the option on the roll against Jalen Duren. Obviously, the physicality to match them on the glass to sort of box out. On the defensive end, Detroit has a lot of those pesky perimeter defenders. They're going to try to get under Brandon Ingram. They're going to put Asar Thompson on him. You're going to need Yak to set good screens to sort of free up that matchup a little bit. I think Brandon works best when he can at least handle looking at the basket, which is pretty much everybody, but I think it's especially the case for Brandon. So give him some space to sort of operate and play with. Probably the key factor in the game is obviously three-point shooting. Detroit's not a good three-point shooting team. The Raptors are obviously a horrible three-point shooting team. But, if IQ can get going off the ball, if RJ, who's been playing well of late, if he can get going off the ball, like you can put together a decent game plan for how you're going to match Detroit. Now, granted, the Raptors have not played Detroit well at all for the last couple of years, but, this is they're relatively healthy. We'll see if CMB is out or if he's able to come back in, because he was questionable tonight. And we'll kind of roll from there. By the way, Canada, unfortunately, looks at strike three. So Canada is now down to their final 2 outs. Again, they're still down 5-3 in, I believe, the quarterfinals of the World Baseball Classic 2026. Okay, next question. I just wanted to say it's been rewarding watching Will go through the 7 stages of Toronto Raptors media this season. I appreciate it. You know what I mean? I think the reason I really want to, because I think I can present as a presenter. Like, I think I can present either in like a much more like maybe like level, chill, like kind of flat kind of delivery, maybe a consistent delivery. Or I can sort of like ride through the ups and downs with you guys. And I think my preference as a person and as a fan is I run more red, blooded. And I really like, going through the emotions of it. Like, once in a while I feel awkward when I see my neighbors, because I'm like, we share a wall, and I'm like, they could probably hear me yelling in the fourth quarters after a big bucket or after a big block. And obviously they heard, some of that celebrating tonight. Luckily they're Raptor fans, so they know what the deal is. But yeah, like I think that like I prefer to live sports and experience sports this way. I'm not particularly interested in telling other people how to do it, but I'm also in the same vein not particularly interested in when other people try to police how people react to sports. Like, unless you're being flagrant or disrespectful in some way, just enjoy it. You know what I mean? It's an entertainment product. You can interpret it how you want. If you want to stay level-headed and chill, that's your choice. Or if you want to go up and down, that's also your choice. Speaking of your choice, it's time to make the chill choice, okay? Definitely not very chill right now, as Canada is down to their last 2 outs here. But basketball, you know what? The World Baseball Classic, it can be quite stressful. And Coors is the chill choice. So staying chill is the winning play across all sports, okay? Fourth quarter, very exciting this time, okay? Very, very exciting, But, the stress wasn't over, though, because after the Raptors' fourth quarter was over, now we got to follow Canada. Unfortunately, they're down to their final out here. That really sucks. But It's okay. Because if you made the chill choice ahead of time, you would have already known to put the Coors in the fridge, wait for the mountain to turn blue, and when the beer is as cold and as refreshing as the Rockies themselves, that's when you know Coors Light is, ready to go. So, when the game heats up, why not make the chill choice by grabbing a crisp, refreshing Coors Light? Find Coors Light near you. Visit CoorsLightShop.ca. Celebrate responsibly. Must be of legal drinking age. Okay. We'll take more of your questions here on the call. Will proudly wearing the Ingram jersey the other way around. Hey, sometimes it's about the team on the front of the jersey, and sometimes when you carry the offense, especially for the entire game, and you have 36 points and you have several great plays down the stretch, it's about the name on the back of the jersey. Brandon Ingram, baby. Like I told you, like I was, I've been obviously, like everyone else, like disappointed with how he's playing recently. He's playing really poorly. But like I told you guys, like I went out and spent my own money on this, like I because I really appreciate his game. I think it's like very fun to watch an offensive creator like that. Sometimes when I watch sports, Jerry Grant gets the hoop in the harm. I mean, I'm going to dismiss that, ESPN. Thank you. I guess the game's over. Is the game over? Lopez strikes out swinging on 3 pitches. Canada, unfortunately, is out of the World Baseball Classic. USA beats Canada again. God damn it. I hate being little brothers to this god-awful nation. No, I'm just kidding. All respect to Americans, but, it's a tough time for you guys politically. But yeah, shouts to Brandon Ingram. What am I saying? Yeah, Brandon Ingram. Very, very sick player. A huge part of why the clutch offense worked is because B.I. brought the ball up late, set off the ball, allows him to orchestrate how he wants, as well as getting rid of the ball and the physicality they struggles with. Yeah, I mean, I do agree with that. I think, again, like there's certain matchups where I don't think I want him to have the ball all the time at the top of the floor, but I think the Raptors have options, right? Like I think that again, involving Scottie, I always find Scottie in the fourth quarter to make the right decision. I think that's probably the most important thing, besides the ability to get buckets is the ability to make the right decision, and I think Brandon did both tonight, but I think Scottie makes the best decisions with the ball. I think IQ can be a point guard option in that situation. RJ's a good finisher in those situations, but I don't mind Brandon as the initiator. And I think I said this early on in the season too, but whatever, like it's just figure it out in the moment to moment. And I think that like depending on different matchups, you're going to do different things. But I really liked seeing Brandon Ingram orchestrate the game like a point guard tonight. Magic and Heat play tomorrow, so it looks like we'll be a 6 seed tomorrow after one of them loses. I guess. I think the bigger thing is the Raptors still have one more game against Orlando. I think that will decide the tiebreaker, and then they have 2 more games against Miami, which will also decide the tiebreaker. So yes, it's important. I'll be watching the Battle of Florida, seeing how those two teams who have both been red hot of late, how they've handled each other. But I think more importantly, I think from the Raptors side, I want to see how the Raptors face up against Orlando and how they face up against the 2 games against the Heat. It's okay, Will. Vladdy and the Dominican Republic will handle them. I certainly hope so. I'm not going to lie to you, man. I mean, first off, World Baseball Classics just seemed really, really fun of late. I don't remember other, WBCs being this lit. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's because the Jays are good, so like I'm more interested in baseball. But a lot of cool moments, and especially watching Vladdy and the celebrations. I mean, nobody has better vibes than the DR. I mean, also the talent is insane. Just, I mean, it's not groundbreaking to say this, but Dominicans, they could hoop, man. They can ball. So, yes, I will be very much rooting for, the DR or basically any team playing against Team USA. I'm not gonna lie to you. So, do I think Grady is out of the rotation now that the team is kind of in desperation mode? There was a moment in this game because like they show Grady sometimes on the broadcast, and I'm just like, oh man, leave him alone. He's not even gonna play. Like, what's the point of showing Grady? But like sometimes with Penn and Grady, and it's like, okay, it's like 5 fouls on Jacoby. Jameson wasn't effective tonight. RJ wasn't in the game, and they'll be like, Grady on the camera, and I'm like he's. I don't know. I think he's not that far from the rotation, right? Like it's pretty clear that he's probably the next guy up. And there are gonna be moments where they need more of his like. Basically, he creates a lot more chaos. Like he's like a chaos creator. Unfortunately, it's you can't really rely on chaos, kind of by definition. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's a bad thing. Bobby Webster needs to get Kyrie Irving on the Raptors this season. Then the Raptors can be contenders. I mean, Kyrie kind of like the Brandon Ingram of point guards, you know what I mean? So I mean he's a better player than Brandon, to be clear. Okay, Kyrie's an incredible player, but you know what? Actually, why not? Actually, what am I saying? I would be in support of this. If I got a chance to watch Kyrie Irving hoop every single night, I'm not saying no to any of that. So, yeah, that's always that'd be nice. Finally, they're on the positive side of a big run late in the game. Yep, I mean it's a nice feeling to be on the other side. Just like it's very gutting to be on the other side. RJ and IQ both had big defensive plays down the stretch, and Scottie adds another clutch block to the pile. That's going to be up there for defensive highlight of the year. The only thing is, okay, realistically, and I'm a big fan. You can call me a Raptor homer if you want to, okay? But I'm loyal to basketball, the sport, first and foremost. And, I mean, I would say that Wemby, as long as he plays the minimum requisite of games, should be the defensive player of the year for the next decade. He's not even fair. So I think Wemby still has 3 more games that he can miss from now to the end of the season. He did miss the last game. You know, the Nuggets were able to beat the Spurs. Although it was still close. So credit to the Spurs for playing that well, even without Wemby. But yeah, like I think he still has 3 more games. But as long as he hits enough games played, yeah, like I think Wemby will get it. But I mean, Scottie should be on all defensive teams at the minimum. So, and then last comment here: great win. They still need to clean up their fast break opportunities. So too many layups and opportunities being passed on. Yeah, I just think that like sometimes I watch the Raptors and I'm like, they're not that like athletic and explosive of a team. You know, like I think you need a couple things. You need athleticism, the strength, the ability to finish with either hand. Maybe have different finishes. Obviously, being able to go reverse. You know, picking your spots, but realistically, sometimes I watch the Raps, I'm like, okay, you know, IQ, like going for the floaters, trying to avoid the contact a little bit. You know, Jamal small, Jacoby's a little weaker, loves to pump fake. You know, there's just not a lot of great transition finishers. I would say that, I mean, outside of Scottie and Brandon, who, you know, obviously I'd like for them to be finishing, but like it's either RJ or even Grady. Grady's actually a pretty good transition finisher. But just a lot of their guys that end up being on the fast breaks, especially their guards, like aren't particularly great at it. So, yeah, it happens. So, we have one more segment left for you. But first, Karem has the pictures, and you could take a wild guess as to who got the chain. You know what I mean? We know who got the chain, man. Come on, dog. It's Brandon Ingram, man. Come on. Brandon Ingram, Kingram with the chain. And, of course, the post-game photo. Grady getting the little flex in. Jameson getting the flex in. Elijah taking the shirt off. I mean, hey, if you look like that, you should take the shirt off, okay? You know what I mean? Elijah flexing his whole entire body. Trace Jackson Davis with the little flex. But yeah, the big takeaway, everyone, is just Elijah's ripped, man. It's just saying JB's too pale. Hey, you know what? I'll say this much, okay? I mean, obviously, you know, we're of different races, but I'm not gonna lie to you. If you see me in like September, I'm like 2 to 3 shades darker. Versus you watch me right now in March when I haven't seen the sun in weeks and months. You know, it's pretty tough. It was actually really tough because the other day I was at the game and I was standing beside Lindsay. We're waiting for I think Vince Carter and T-Mac to speak. And we're standing beside each other, and I'm looking at my arm. I'm holding it on a camera. Lindsay's holding it on a camera, and I'm like, Are we the same shade right now? That's crazy, bro. Lindsay, like one of the whitest people I know. So I was like, hey, this is a bad sign for me. So I think it's context dependent. Okay, I think if Jameson wasn't playing in Toronto and was playing in like I don't know like L.A. or something, it'd be different. But yeah, it's tough. Yeah, they're saying Battle, Mamu, and Grady all overexposed. Even Scottie looking light there. I think it's also the pot lighting from the top of the floor, right? It's not like I don't know. To be honest, I don't know the exact like ISO or whatever of like the camera that Saxon's using, but I think a lot of it is just the pot lights on the top of the it does wash everyone out a little bit. But yeah, I mean honestly, this is how Jameson looks in person too. So anyway. Okay, so this next segment is presented by ToonieBet online sportsbook and casino. Thousands of slot games and live casino at your fingertips. And a sportsbook made for Ontario. Get your game on with ToonieBet. So again, always looking ahead to the schedule. Raps don't play tomorrow, so I'll be keeping my eye on a couple games, you know what I mean? And, there's that portion. But I do also think that it'll be interesting because after the win tonight, maybe this looks a little bit better, but the Raptors over-under win total on ToonieBet is set at, the line is set at 45.5. The Raptors win tonight. I believe that's their 36th win of the season. Let me just get that correctly. Yes, 37th win of the season. So they still need to go and get 9 more wins the rest of the season to hit 46 and hit the over. The under is actually minus 143. The over is plus 105. For the sake of my fandom, let's go with the over. Let's hit the over on 45.5. Raptors got 9 more wins in them. I know what they got, at least 5 more tanking teams, and there are some 50-50 squads in there. They get a couple 50-50 squads. I think they can really, really take it and finish strong on the season. But make sure you go to ToonieBet.ca for all your sports betting needs. ToonieBet is licensed and regulated by the AGCO and iGaming Ontario, 19 plus Ontario only. Please play responsibly. Okay, wrap up your 3 stars tonight. Oh, actually, one last comment from someone who's watching the 905. I've seen a bit of Fultz with the 905 and the backup G League point guards they've had all year. Jarkel Joyner and AJ Hoggard have both been better. It's been a rough couple of games for Fultz. Yeah, I've been doing more of like a box score watching, to be honest. So, he's struggled, in his return. I don't think that's particularly surprising. I think a lot of that is just like physically, is he like completely ready? To sort of like just hop back into action, even at the G League level. Plus, he's playing with a bunch of guys he doesn't know anything about. So yeah, I think if this is a kind of a tryout for that 15th spot, obviously, as of right now, he is not sort of like ready for that. But, I think that there are other options on that front. And again, like to be clear, the Raptors did not sign Markelle Fultz to the squad. He signed to the G League squad, which doesn't actually have a direct, you know what I mean? This ain't baseball type of thing. So, but I mean, I'm rooting for Fultz. He seemed like a nice kid. So, just saying respect to the Canada baseball team. Hey, pour one out, man. Pour one out, Canada. It was a fun couple of rounds, and they did beat Cuba. So, it was not all for naught, but sometimes you're not necessarily meant to be. Anyway, your 3 stars. First star is going to go to Brandon Ingram, 36 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 13 of 20 shooting, 5 of 6 from 3, 5 of 7 from the foul line, plus 17. Awesome game. Honestly, maybe Brandon's best game of the season. I don't know. Like, he had the 39 against the Cavs. He had the game winner against Indiana. He's had a couple of 30 balls, and this is just the latest of the bunch. But I don't know. I really like the way Brandon played tonight. Second half, he legit, basically mid-second quarter onward, he was flawless. So hopefully he plays like this on a more consistent basis. Great to see him snap out of his funk, too, because he's been playing well below his average, and tonight was a good rebound on that front. Second star. You know what? Second star is really tough because there's a lot of good players. I'm going to give it to Scottie for the fact that he fought through it. He was sick, visibly sick at times, but yeah, still 14.6 rebounds, 4 assists, a steal, 2 blocks, including the game-clinching block. Ends up playing 31 minutes, which is below his average, but part of that was foul trouble as well. I think he really battled through it and played like a pretty strong second half, and the Raptors needed that. And honestly, as a leader of the team, I really respect him for, playing no matter what. I think, Scottie doesn't get enough credit for the last couple of years, where this season, last season, he's basically said, okay, if I got a small anything, I'm going to try to play through it. And we've seen him play a lot of times when he's not 100%. And that does require some level of toughness for sure, and a level of care for the outcome of the team, which is what I expect from my leaders. So I salute you, Scottie. That was a great play to end the game, and playing sick is never easy. Your third star, you can go a lot of places with this. I think I'm going to give it to RJ ultimately, but I really, really, I really like the way Jacoby and IQ played as well. But ultimately, I'm going to give it to RJ. 22 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, a block. RJ also with a couple good defensive plays and a couple big buckets in crunch time as well. So RJ, I think, started slow, but he finished strong. So appreciate it. Gerald Henderson Award. It's got to go to Jalen Green. I was kind of going to give it to Rasheer Fleming, but I'm going to give it to Jalen Green. Jalen Green was pretty sick. So, yeah, 34 points for Jalen Green. The back-to-back buckets that he made in the fourth quarter, the one where he's baseline and he hits the turnaround over Jamal with the double team coming at the shot clock was sick. And then he followed it up with a pull-up three heavily contested, which was even more sick. RJ was right there about to block the shot. It was like such a good contest that he still made it. I don't know. He was awesome tonight. So I know Jalen Green really loves Toronto. So shouts to Jalen Green. Shouts to all the Filipino hoopers out there. You know what I mean? Jalen Green, like the peak Filipino hooper when it comes to Filipino hoopers. So thanks everyone for listening. Appreciate all of you guys. Thanks again to Rob who sends in, Big Rob sends in 400. I appreciate you guys. This would be a nice trend if we did this. By the way, we have a video post game as well. Is that what you're telling me? Okay. All right, Kareem. Let's see this little video. Hold on.
Lock, certainly making a case for Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, for sure. That's my Defensive Player of the Year for sure. He's been good for us all year. He's a vocal point for our defense and offense. He's a great player.
There you go. Brandon Ingram on Scottie Barnes. Hey, guys, keep pushing, keep going, and let's see what the team does on Sunday against Detroit. So thanks to all of you guys for tuning in. Again, leave a like on the stream, and we'll be back on Sunday.